So let's say you could draw anything. What would it be? Portraits, manga characters, superheroes, landscapes, chihuahuas, teacups. Well, in this video, I'm going to give you some advice on how I learned and how you can learn to draw whatever you want easily and well. Anything? Sure, think of something. Yep, even that. See, I'm a mind reader too. Now, recently, I made a video about how I drew my teacup every day. You can see it over there. And I showed how I developed my art habit by drawing the same subject every single morning when I was waiting for the kettle to boil to have a cup of tea. And seeing my sketchbook with dozens and dozens of drawings of the same humble cup, a few people wrote to me and they asked, what's the point of all this? Like at REMS, who asked me specifically, when my drawing improves with that one subject, will my drawings of other things also improve? And that's a really good question. And here's the answer. Absolutely. Let me tell you why. I think that one aspect of drawing is physical. When I'm looking hard at my teacup every morning, I'm getting better and better at actually seeing that cup and the shadows on its various surfaces. And I'm also strengthening the neural connections between my eyeballs and my brain, and then between my noggin and my fingers that are holding the pen. And the more I practice this process, the stronger and faster those connections become. And that makes for more confident lines and a better ability to judge proportions and lots of other skills that are now subconscious. Think of a basketball player who is really skilled at dribbling or at shooting baskets. How did he get that way? By spending years constantly walking around with a basketball. You know those kind of guys. You remember them from high school. Dribbling becomes as natural as breathing if you do that. And he might practice free throws over and over and over until he could sink shots with his eyes closed. Or think of a bodybuilder. She's doing rep after rep in the gym. She didn't wake up one morning with those muscles. She built them through constant repetition. Now, the idea of practicing drawing can seem really dull. I know. I always hated to look at those exercises that you would see in sort of drawing instruction books. You can draw. Drawing spheres and parallel lines and faces with dotted lines across the middle. I wanted to draw cool stuff, not cones and cylinders. I never learned to play the piano because I couldn't abide those dull drills and scales. It just felt like I was never getting anywhere and I hated what I was doing. And I regret it now. And I wish that somebody had shown me a way to make it feel practical and interesting. So is a sketchbook full of drawings of teacups, is that cool or useful, practical? I don't know, maybe not. But I also found that another aspect of drawing that this morning ritual helped me to develop was quieting my mind and learning to be in the moment. Think of a practice like yoga or meditation or even prayer. By contemplating a single subject or a single idea, my mind grew still and calm. And I was absolutely in the moment. And the stress of the busy day ahead just receded in my mind. Now, a third benefit of my teacup drawings was that the more I drew the same thing, the more it seemed different. The changing light, the different complex angles, the shifting perspectives, they all stretched my mind. And I discovered infinite variations when the sun would rise or the cup was turned in this angle or that. So I wasn't really just drawing the same thing. The more I looked, the more I saw that it contained multitudes, as Walt Whitman would say. A lot of artists have explored a single subject in depth, even really mundane subject. Think of Van Gogh and his sunflowers, or Monet and his haystacks, Andy Warhol and his soup cans, Jim Dine great painter, painted his bathrobe scores of times. Or Morandi, he painted a group of empty bottles for most of his career. Great Japanese Hokusai, he did 100 views of Mount Fuji. Or Cindy Sherman, she only photographs self-portraits and she's done it for decades. And Bach wrote the Goldberg Variations, which are 30 just different pieces based on the same motif over and over again. My favorite jazz musicians, they might play the same song at every gig. But each time they improvise new chord structures and progressions, and they make that dusty old standard feel fresh and of the moment. Or just like a golfer practices his swing over and over, he might play the same course dozens of times. Each game, each stroke is a totally new, fresh challenge. I drew a series of 150 dogs, each a little different. I filled so many sketchbooks with studies of my same old face. And so did Van Gogh and Rembrandt and lots of other artists, making the familiar look fresh by drawing it again and again. So don't think of your drawings as either practice or the real thing. They're all part of the same continuum, the same adventure. One step after another, all seeming so similar and yet leading you to new and different places, new views, new awarenesses, new feelings. The point isn't to have a perfect, frameable product each time you sit down to draw. It's to be drawing, to be in the process, to be an artist, and to see the world like only an artist can. It matters less what you draw. What matters is how you draw it, how you feel, how you see, how you grow, how you live. That is endlessly fascinating, whether it's a cup or a mountain or the back of your hand. If you embrace this practice and then you want to draw a manga character or the Black Panther or a Black Panther or a bowl of peonies or your Cocker Spaniel catching a Frisbee, you'll be able to do it, even if you've never tried before. Oh, and speaking of repetition, let me remind you once again that my new book of essays, You Do You, is available for your delight. It's full of good advice and weird ideas, and you'll probably want to read it and read it and read it again. So just click here to get your copy, and I hope you do. Thanks for stopping by again.